Hi everyone, welcome back to GoLocal Live. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for tuning in this Tuesday afternoon, and as we get to about once a month, catch up with the former chair of the Rhode Island Hospital Board, now with Ed Wrights. Dr. Ed Iannuccilli, thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure, always a pleasure. Thank you.
And of course, always a pleasure reading Dr. Iannuccilli's writings on GoLocalProv.com. If you miss them, they are a must-read. So I want to talk with you again, The Heat of the Summer Here. It was literally the title of a piece you wrote, The Heat of Childhood Summer.
That's right.
And we had a little discussion. I mean,
We did.
It was, I don't know if it's generational, but not growing up with AC, I can attest.
Yeah, I didn't know what air conditioning was. We had, some people had a fan. We didn't even have a fan. And those little fans were without a cage, and they hardly circulated any air. So I lived on the third floor tenement, and there was no air in the heat of the summer in the middle of July in the 90s.
So let's talk a little bit, I mean, staying cool. I mean, the things that you would do, we talked about keeping the place, you know, cool and dark during the day, maybe getting some air at night. But it was, the saving grace was the porch.
Well, at daytimes, we tried to get under a sprinkler or cool off someplace like the boys' club or go to the shore. But at night, when the bedroom was a steamy oven, as I wrote, we just couldn't sleep. My brother and I roamed around the house and then heard voices from below, and those voices were from my mother and her sister and her mother on the porch on the first floor. So we snuck down to the first floor and spent our evenings, late into the evening, sitting on the porch, as was everybody else in the neighborhood, Kate. So it was kind of the thing to do because you couldn't sleep in those tenements.
Had to find a way to stay cool.
Yeah.
And do you remember being a child and having to go to bed while it was still light out? That's a
I do.
burning memory, and I think for most young people when they were small children. But you know, how many people did you hear from after that piece being like, I remember those non-AC days?
Everybody had those non-AC days. Yeah, I got a lot of responses from that, and I enjoyed listening to the stories. And stories of people going into their ice box, not a refrigerator, and chipping some ice off, putting the ice on the heads, or sticking their head in the ice box to cool off.
Just to stay cool. Well, here we are, middle of August. We had that little bit of a heat wave a few weeks ago, which was pretty tough. But we've done okay so far this summer. But, you know, still got plenty of summer left.
It's summer. That's great.
So have you ever heard that theory of like AC spreading germs around? I mean, you're the doctor. I love when you sort of put the half and half doctor hat on. AC isn't a health issue.
No, it's not a health issue. Of course it's not. Otherwise, no hospital would be air conditioned.
I think that was maybe what we'd heard back in the day for not having it.
Right.
But speaking of health, I did love the piece that you wrote on trying to find a cure for hiccups.
Oh my God.
Here you are, chair of the Rhode Island Hospital Board, doctor extraordinaire, being like, how do I get rid of hiccups?
I get all kinds of calls, but this was a serious call. My friend had hiccups that had been going on for 2 hours. 2 hours. So they wanted to know what to do, and I really gave a lecture about 40 years ago about curing hiccups. All of them are wives' tales or customs, none of which really work. But I put them through all the paces, and shortly after they called and said his hiccups are not going away. He really needed to go to the hospital because he had unrelenting hiccups, and that can be a bit of a problem. So,
what can you do once you go to the hospital for that?
well, first of all, they give him an intravenous because he had also been doing some vomiting.
Oof.
And then they give him intravenous medication, a whole host of medications to try to relax the diaphragm, which is what's in spasm. And eventually, after enough medication, he stopped.
And is that rare? Like the very
chronic,
serious
hiccuping? The serious chronic hiccuping is rare. The one that you laugh about is the one we all go through after a meal. And holding your breath and putting sugar on your tongue may or may not work. They go away.
One can only hope. So I love the mix. You know, you get some healthcare in there, you get some nostalgia, and of course the life lessons from the pinball machine. Oh my gosh, the people I saw commenting to that post, knowing like that particular arcade, knowing like going there,
Absolutely,
just the
absolutely.
role of the pinball machine in the arcade in the neighborhood growing up.
Yeah, there was a pinball almost in every store. There was a pinball machine in my uncle's grocery store. And I often asked him, why do you have a pinball machine here? He said it pays the rent because the kids play the pinball machine. And the place I went to was a variety store, and it was a destination to play pinball, to get free games for a nickel, to learn how to tilt or not tilt the machine as you shake it. Many people did that. And
So
maybe
little
still do.
teasers, you had some life lessons. If you haven't read the article, give them a little teaser. What'd you learn from the pinball machine?
Well, you lose your ball all the time, so there's a loss. You're not going to win.
You're not gonna
You
win
have to
every
get
time.
over it, and there's a big gaping hole where that ball goes, and so you need to learn to recover from losses, but there are wins along the way. So if you can learn to recover from the loss and accept a few wins, then the pinball machine is a place to go.
So you have to
I
read
guess.
that article, and of course everything that Dr. Iannuccilli writes. How's the
Great,
writing
thank you.
going this summer?
Good, good. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things to do. I need 50 more years. Can you give me 50 years, Kate?
I'm not a doctor, so you're probably looking at the wrong person.
I will. You ask me to write every week, though, and that week goes by very quickly. But I have plenty of things to write about, if not everyday things. Look for an article on those big booming sounds that come from young kids driving their cars around and opening the windows so you can hear their favorite music. Guess who did that also? You did. I did.
Back in the day, it's not a new thing.
No.
Were you one of those crazy kids?
Yeah. Wild, yeah. I was wild.
Even before the doctor days, there goes that and Iannuccilli playing his. What music would you be playing to?
A
loud?
white sport coat and a pink carnation. How about that? Or Earth Angel. How about Earth?
I love it. Again, you think everybody, nothing's new. It's all been done
No,
before.
of course not. Of course it's not new. And yes, I did it. And I was annoyed at this young man, so that's what I'm going to write about. But in fact, I remember doing the same thing myself.
Well, if you want to have a lot of good Rhode Island memories, be sure to read Dr. Ed Iannuccilli.
Yeah, good.
And check out his blog, Ed Writes, as well. We're fortunate to have him here on GoLocalProv.com. So, Dr. Iannuccilli,
A pleasure.
thank you for coming
Always a
in,
pleasure.
as always.
Thank you, Kate.
And thank you for watching here on Tuesday afternoon in downtown Providence. We'll be back tomorrow with more live for you here in studio. But in the meantime, be sure to catch us on GoLocalProv.com and find us on Facebook throughout the evening. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel.